Good morning, everyone. We are here today to announce new legislation, Senate Bill 925, to address a significant and growing problem in San Francisco, specifically the sale of stolen goods on our streets, also known as fencing. I'm joined here today by my partner in this legislation, Mayor London Breed, who came to me earlier this year and made clear that addressing this issue with state legislation was a top priority for her. I also want to acknowledge and thank Supervisor Hillary Ronen, who has worked closely with us all year. She could not be here today due to her daughter's graduation, but her office is here and will be speaking. And I want to thank Supervisor Dorsey for joining us as well. And I also want to welcome a broad coalition of community-based organizations that you see behind me today, from the Mission and the Tenderloin primarily, and you will hear from them shortly. Fencing of stolen goods on our streets is a major issue in parts of San Francisco, particularly in the Mission, in the Tenderloin, South of Market, and other neighborhoods. And SB 925 will provide San Francisco with an additional tool to address this problem. I want to be crystal clear that this bill is not about our beautiful and diverse array of street vendors, the people who sell prepared foods, artisanal goods, flowers, and other amazing products on our streets. Street vendors make our city a better place. They add to the richness that makes neighborhoods like the Mission unique, and they allow people to earn a living. By contrast, fencing stolen goods on our streets is quite different. It's organized crime, and it harms not only the surrounding neighborhood, but legitimate street vendors as well. These criminal fencing operations on our streets are pushing out legitimate street vendors, often people who have been selling on our streets for a very long time, and they're creating an atmosphere of fear and violence. That's why the Mission Street Vendors Association is one of the organizations supporting SB 925, and you will hear from the vendors today. In addition to support from other Mission and Tenderloin organizations, such as the Mission Economic Development Agency, META, Mission Neighborhood Centers, Galeria de la Raza, La Voz Latina, the Tenderloin CBD, Tenderloin Housing Clinic, and other organizations. Illegal fencing operations on our streets make our streets less safe, disrupt legitimate street vending, and fuel organized retail theft in our brick and mortar businesses. They also posed risk to city workers who are simply trying to enforce permitting laws. City workers have been assaulted as they attempt to enforce permit requirements against these fencers. The fencing of illegal goods on Mission Street became so extreme that Mayor Breed and Supervisor Ronen made the difficult decision to place a temporary moratorium on all street vending in the Mission. Of course, a blanket ban on street vending is not the outcome that any of us want. Street vending is part of the fabric of our community. It's part of our economy, and it helps people put food on the table. SB 925 takes a focused, surgical approach to illegal street fencing. It does so by allowing citation by the police of people who are selling goods that are commonly shoplifted, pursuant to a list of commonly stolen goods prepared by the city, and only if they are doing so without a permit. If a person has been cited twice for selling these commonly stolen items without a permit, they can be cited for a misdemeanor the third time. We've crafted the bill to avoid immigration consequences for this misdemeanor. I want to be clear that SB 925 does not apply in any way to prepared foods, nor does it apply to people selling goods with a permit. It only applies to people who do not have a permit and who are selling items that are commonly stolen. SB 925 complements existing state law on street vending. In 2018, the legislature passed Senate Bill 946, which required that street vending be treated as an administrative matter instead of a criminal matter. The purpose of SB 946, which I voted for, was to address serious abuses occurring in various parts of California where the police were making it difficult or impossible for street vendors to do business. The goal was to allow legitimate street vending to thrive throughout California. We have the same goal with SB 925. This bill will restore a limited and narrow role for law enforcement in tackling the fencing of stolen goods. It will not apply to any other form of street vending, and it will only apply in San Francisco. SB 925 is a narrow, targeted intervention to allow San Francisco to hold the bad actors disrupting our streets accountable, restore the vibrant vending economy that so many San Franciscans love and depend on, and it is a bill that we will work very hard to pass. Y ahora en español, a los vendedores ambulantes que siguen las leyes, les ayudaremos a volver a hacer negocios en Mission Street. Ustedes le dan vida a nuestras calles y queremos protegerlos a ustedes y a sus empresas del desorden que los delincuentes han traído a nuestras comunidades. Nadie enfrentará sanciones penales por vender alimentos preparados o cualquier cosa obtenida legalmente. Nuestro objetivo es darle a las autoridades policiales un papel limitado y específico para ayudar a responsabilizar a estos delincuentes y al mismo tiempo minimizar su impacto en ustedes. Hemos estado trabajando estrechamente con Rodrigo López, la Asociación de Vendedores Ambulantes de Misión, Meda Clecha y otras organizaciones de la Misión, del Tenderloin y de otras comunidades. With that said, I will now turn it over to my partner in this legislation, Mayor London Breed.
Thank you, Senator Wiener, and unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to speak Spanish, so hopefully I can get his assistance in translating my comments, but I will say that it is great to be here with this coalition of people to help introduce this legislation in Sacramento, and I want to thank Senator Wiener for his advocacy, his work, and his leadership. We're not just here announcing this legislation. It took a lot of work, a lot of meetings across many policymakers, both here in Northern and Southern California, and many community stakeholders to get to this point so that we could ensure that we did everything we can to protect our actual street vendors in San Francisco. Because this is something that I don't know about you, but I'm used to experiencing. Growing up in San Francisco, we had the Watermelon Man. Growing up in San Francisco, we had the man we could go get some incense from. We had folks who worked hard to create their goods and were always available to provide that support to community. And so many of the various vendors that are joining us here today, they have been a part of the community for many, many years. And sadly, what we've seen in recent years is a change where we know that there are challenges around those who are going into various retail establishments, stealing items and taking them out onto the streets, and also impacting the ability for so many of these vendors to even function on the streets. It has been extremely challenging for our city workforce, where people have even been assaulted when they tried to create and establish some level of order and structure to ensure that our vendors are not impacted in a negative way. It has been chaotic and very much problematic in neighborhoods like the Mission and the Tenderloin. So I am grateful to be here with a strong coalition of people who want to ensure that we protect and support our vendors while also dealing with the illegal fencing that has really destroyed the fabric of what many people have been doing for many, many decades. And what's important about this legislation and what I appreciate is it is a broad coalition, and I want to thank Supervisor Hillary Ronen for being a partner in working with us to ensure that community was a part of the conversations. So we, I believe, have a broad coalition with very comprehensive, responsible legislation with progressive penalties to ensure that we are trying to address this issue hold people accountable, but hopefully transition them into something that is more meaningful and possibly the treatment or support that they need to get their lives on the right path. There are so many things that are intertwined in what we are doing here today, and I want to especially take an opportunity again to thank so many people who came to the table, who work with us to ensure that people understand that there is a huge difference between those who are vending in terms of making a living, selling their goods that they make, that they've produced, and that they're out there supporting the community, and the people who are fencing, who are stealing items from our brick and mortar places that are creating a lot of problems. And even the fact that we've had a number of pharmacies close, that also impacts the community when elderly people and others can't get their medication. There's so many dynamics to this. So this legislation is a strong step in the right direction to help us get on the right track so we can continue to keep people safe and allow for those who want to sell their various goods and services to the people of San Francisco to do so safely. I want to thank the Central City SRO Collaborative, Gallery de la Raza, Good Samaritan Family Resource Center, La Vaz Latina, Mission Economic Development Center, META, the Mission Merchants Association, the Mission Neighborhood Center, the Mission Street Vendors Association, the Tenderloin Community Benefit District, the Tenderloin Housing Clinic, and the University of California College of the Law. As I said, it's a broad coalition of people who have been working with us, and I look forward to making sure this legislation gets through the finish line and we continue to see vibrant neighborhoods with street vendors who really represent the diversity of what makes San Francisco so special. And with that, I want to take this opportunity to introduce our police chief, Bill Scott.
Thank you, Mayor Breed, and thank you, Senator Wiener, for focusing on this issue. You know, the SFPD has been aggressively cracking down on retail theft and illegal fencing and stolen goods for this past year. And with that, we have a lot of momentum. You know, overall theft is down nearly 40% over this time last year, but we still have to do more. In partnership with our Department of Public Works and other city agencies and all these folks that you see standing here with me, we have recovered thousands of items of stolen goods from these illegal fencing markets over just this year alone. And I'm optimistic that this momentum will continue because of this legislation. Now, as has been said by our mayor and our senator, this is a very narrowly focused piece of legislation that is meant to address illegal fencing and address the stolen good market that really impacts all of us. It has nothing to do with food. It has nothing to do with people that are permitted to sell and vend across the city, because that's been stated by our senator and our mayor. That's a part of the fabric of this city. What is not a part of the fabric of this city is organized retail theft running rampant, affecting all of us, affecting our businesses, affecting our community members, affecting our nonprofit, you name it, it's across the board. So that has to be cracked down on. And this legislation will help us do that. I also just want to say that as we focus on this issue, it is such a pleasure to be standing among the people in this community who are impacted by this the most, because we're not doing this alone. We, the police department, we, city government, we, our mayor, our senator, we're doing this in conjunction with the very community members who are impacted by this the most. And that's what makes this legislation special. That's what makes this effort special. And that's what's going to drive our success in this city. So with that, I just again want to say thank you to our mayor. I want to say thank you to Senator Wiener and introduce you to Sheila Chung Hagan from Supervisor Hillary Ronan's office. Thank you.
Good morning. I'd like to share this statement on behalf of Supervisor Hillary Ronan, who represents the Mission District, one of the neighborhoods deeply impacted by fencing activities. As Supervisor of District 9, which includes the Mission neighborhood, I'm thankful to Senator Wiener for the introduction of SB 925 and to the mayor for her partnership in tackling the serious fencing of stolen goods in our neighborhood commercial corridors. The Mission has a cherished history of street vending that spans many decades. Whether it's Doña Juanita selling flowers at 24th Street or Doña Sofia enticing customers with Latin American artisanal items, our street vendors have contributed to what makes the Mission a culturally rich and attractive neighborhood. But the unique traditions of the Mission and the economic vitality of permitted street vendors have been threatened by fencers selling stolen goods on our streets. Our permitted street vendors should not have to face extortion from fencers. Our public works employees should not be threatened and assaulted for administering our city's programs. Our small business owners shouldn't have to worry about the safety of their employees and whether customers will be able to reach their storefronts or have their passage blocked. Our transit riders should be able to easily get onto Muni and BART without being harassed. And our neighbors should experience safe, clean, and accessible sidewalks as they walk the streets of their own neighborhood. As supervisor, I represent many constituencies, all of which care deeply about the health and safety of the neighborhood. That's why passage of this state bill is so important to ensure that we can address the criminal activity of fencers while letting SF Public Works administer a user-friendly sidewalk vending program for permitted vendors. Tomorrow, I will be introducing a resolution at the Board of Supervisors in support of SB 925. As a city, we will also continue to support permitted street vendors with opportunities to sell in our city marketplace, La Placita, with business training, with special events and marketing, and with the development of a pilot program to bring permitted vendors back onto the Mission Street corridor while maintaining safe conditions for all. We look forward to sharing details with you as we finalize the program. Si me permiten decirlo en español, por favor. Me gustaría compartir esta declaración en nombre de la supervisora Hilary Ronen, quien representa el Distrito de la Misión, uno de los vecindarios profundamente impactados por las actividades de personas que venden artículos robados. Como supervisora del Distrito 9, que incluye el vecindario de la Misión, agradezco al senador Wiener por la introducción del proyecto de ley 925 del Senado Estatal y la alcaldesa por su colaboración para abordar la grave situación de bienes robados en los corredores comerciales de nuestros vecindarios. La Misión tiene una apreciada historia de venta ambulante que se extiende por muchas décadas, ya sea Doña Juanita vendiendo flores en la calle 24 o Doña Sofía atrayendo a los clientes con artesanías latinoamericanas. Nuestros vendedores ambulantes han contribuido a lo que hace de la Misión un vecindario culturalmente rico y atractivo. Pero las tradiciones únicas de la Misión y la vitalidad económica de los vendedores ambulantes autorizados se han visto amenazados por las personas que venden artículos robados en nuestras calles. Nuestros vendedores ambulantes autorizados no deberían tener que enfrentar a la extorsión de las personas vendiendo artículos robados. Nuestros empleados municipales de obras públicas no deben de ser amenazados ni agredidos por administrar los programas de nuestra ciudad. Los propietarios de nuestros pequeños negocios no deberían tener que preocuparse por la seguridad de sus empleados y por si los clientes podrán llegar a sus tiendas o si se les bloqueará el paso. Nuestros usuarios de transporte público deberían poder llegar fácilmente a Muni y BART sin sufrir acoso. Y nuestros vecinos deberían tener aceras seguras, limpias y accesibles mientras caminan por las calles de su propio vecindario. Como supervisora represento a muchos constituyentes, todos los cuales se preocupan profundamente por la salud y la seguridad del vecindario. Es por eso que la aprobación de este proyecto de ley estatal es tan importante para garantizar que podamos abordar las actividades criminales de personas que venden artículos robados y al mismo tiempo permitir que Obras Públicas administre un programa de venta de las aceras fácil de usar para los vendedores con permiso. Mañana presentaré una resolución a la Junta de Supervisores en apoyo del proyecto de ley 925. Como municipio, también continuaremos apoyando a los vendedores ambulantes permitidos con oportunidades para vender en nuestros mercados municipales como La Placita, con capacitación comercial, eventos especiales y marketing, y con el desarrollo de un programa piloto para traer de regreso a la calle Misión a los vendedores permitidos mientras mantenemos condiciones seguras para todos. Esperamos compartir detalles con ustedes a medida que finalicemos el programa. Muchas gracias. And now it's my pleasure to introduce to you the founder and treasurer of CLECHA. Es mi honor poder presentarles al fundador y el tesorero de CLECHA, William Ortiz Cartagena.
Good morning, everybody. Buenos días, ¿cómo estamos? And I can't say more than what everybody's been saying. Fencing is not street vending. No es la misma cosa. Those are our street vendors. Eso es nuestra comunidad. That's our community right there. And I want to thank Senator Scott Wiener, Mayor Breed, Supervisor Ronan's office, because today we make it a point to say we're community and we don't get down with fencing, but we will always support our culture, our history of street vending, and our community and our entrepreneurs that make San Francisco so dope. So thank you, and with that, I'll introduce Kate Robinson from the TLCBD. Sorry, Kate.
No, all good. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Kate Robinson. I'm the Executive Director of Tenderloin Community Benefit District, an organization that centers the needs of neighborhood children, families, seniors, and small businesses. We strive for a safe, clean, and positively activated community. The Tenderloin is a beautifully diverse, multilingual neighborhood of color that deserves the same level of peaceable enjoyment and economic vitality that we see in other beautiful neighborhoods in San Francisco. In order to get there, we must address the on-street selling of both drugs and stolen goods. To that end, TLCBD and our many partners who are here are so grateful for the leadership of Senator Wiener, Mayor Breed, and Supervisor Ronan for introducing and working on SB 925 to continue the progress being made in improving the conditions of our streets and making them safer for everyone. The drug and fencing markets are true barriers for the success of our small business community. They have real negative impacts on the lives of Tenderloin residents, including poor health outcomes resulting from the persistently stressful environment. The work of the Drug Market Agency Coordination Center has been a game changer in terms of making great strides to combat the open-air drug and fencing markets. This involves the incredible coordination of our law enforcement, outreach workers, DPW street cleaners, and many other public agencies and community stewards and stakeholders. SB 925 builds on this great work in that it gives these agencies more tools to gain a handle on the sale of stolen goods, all while taking a focused approach that specifically targets bad actors. This is not hypothetical. Anyone can come out here after dark, and in fact, actually, just on my walk over here, I had to walk in McAllister Street. Fencing on our streets creates chaos. Fights, arguments ensue over who gets to sell. It makes our streets unsafe. It blocks ADA paths of travel, and it makes it difficult for families to simply walk down the sidewalk. It also keeps visitors from frequenting our incredible restaurants that deserve to be flooded with reservations. We have the best food in the Tenderloin, and Mission, but Tenderloin, we have the best food. The hard and consistent work really is paying off, and we are beginning to see change moving in the right direction, and we must not stop now. We're getting there together, and we must keep going. The spirit of San Francisco starts here. It starts with this work. Thank you, everybody. And with that, I will introduce the president of the Michigan, that's where I'm from, Mission Street Vendor Association, Rodrigo Lopez.
Hola, buenos días a todos. Mi nombre es Rodrigo López. Soy el presidente de Mission Street Vendors Associations.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Rodrigo Lopez, and I am the president of the Mission Street Vendors Association.
Nuestra organización representa a 116 vendedores ambulantes que hasta el día de hoy trabajamos duro para ganarnos la vida.
Our organization represents 116 street vendors who work hard every day to make a living.
Los vendedores ambulantes somos parte de la historia de esta ciudad. Nuestra presencia contribuye a la cultura y vitalidad de nuestro barrio. En este caso somos del barrio de la Misión.
We street vendors are part of the history and the vitality of the city, and our presence contributes to the culture and vitality of our neighborhoods. In my case, the neighborhood is the Mission.
La realidad es que no podemos el no poder vender en las calles de la Misión nos ha afectado demasiado. Nosotros tenemos familias que mantener y negocios que continuar.
The reality is that not selling on Mission Street has affected us a lot. We do have families and we do have small businesses to continue.
Con esta legislación esperamos nos ayude a mejorar la situación en las calles de San Francisco para tener comunidades más seguras.
We hope that with this legislation, the situation on the streets will get better and that we have safer communities.
Nosotros, los vendedores ambulantes con permiso, hemos seguido las reglas y apoyamos la legislación. Queremos regresar a seguir vendiendo en las calles de San Francisco y salir a flote con nuestros negocios.
We, the street vendors with permits, have been following the rules, and we support the legislation, and we want to come back so we can continue selling in the streets of San Francisco and stay afloat.
Por eso hemos estado trabajando mano a mano con la oficina del alcalde London Breed, la supervisora Hilary Ronan, para poder continuar con programas y soluciones para apoyar a los vendedores ambulantes legítimos.
This is why we have been working hard hand in hand with Mayor London Breed and Supervisor Ronan's office to continue programs and solutions to support legitimate street vendors.
Necesitamos asegurarnos que nuestros líderes electos continúen apoyando estos esfuerzos para tener sistemas más seguros y optimizados en un entorno estructurado para nuestro éxito, el éxito de las pequeñas empresas, el éxito de nuestra comunidad en general.
We need to be, we seek assurances and we hope our leaders continue to support us with these efforts to have safer systems and safer streets, and that our return to Mission Street is structured so that it has éxito, that it has success, and that our small businesses and our community also moves forward.
Por último, también queremos reconocer a las organizaciones que han trabajado con nosotros y con la legislación. Hay muchas organizaciones, no quiero decir nombres, que han trabajado con nosotros, con todo esto, apoyando meetings, han invertido demasiado tiempo, horas. Por eso queremos agradecer a todos ellos y porque hayan alzado nuestra voz para tener una voz como organización, Mission Street Vendors.
We also want to thank all the community organizations that have helped us. There's so many to mention, but there's been hours and hours that have been put into this effort, and we really appreciate all the folks that have been here supporting us, the Mission Street vendors.
Great, so those are our speakers today. We're happy to take a few questions from the press, and folks will also be around to be interviewed on the side. Any questions? Yeah. That'll be formulated by the city. The Board of Supervisors will have the ability to formulate that list, and yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, so the city already has a permitting process, and this isn't going to change that process. There's a process today, and the city will continue to have the ability to set permitting rules. It complements other existing laws. Obviously, if you actually are physically stealing from a store, that is a crime. If you're and in terms of receiving stolen goods, this will be sort of complementary to that, because this will be someone who is on the street selling, doesn't have a permit, has items that are everyone is aware have been stolen, and it's pretty clear, and those are the items that'll go on that list. So it's complementary to those other laws. What? They're not covered on this. The bill does not apply to prepared food, so that's just simply not part of this bill. So if someone's selling prepared food with or without a permit, will not be covered by this and can't be cited under this law, under this bill. Any other? Great. Thank you so much, everyone. I want to thank this amazing coalition. Thank you.